We'll show you what we've come to know on board while sailing wisdom.
Good morning, everyone. So it's currently really early. It's 7 a.m. and we're getting out of here. Now it's a gorgeous place. We're kind of bummed that we're leaving so early because we were really hoping to, hang out here and enjoy. So that gorgeous island right there, we were gonna go explore today and paddleboard and all that fun stuff. But there's a really nasty blow coming in, and it's gonna be blowing in right from that way. Like right there. Right from the ocean, straight through the inlet, right into our anchorage. So this place is going to turn into a nightmare. We're just gonna get our anchor up now while it's dead calm and scoot along. So the whole issue with this spot is that there's just too much fetch. Our opening is to the south, there's tons of water to the south, and the wind's gonna be blowing straight out of the south. So where we're gonna go is a river that comes off the ICW and has no fetch from the south. And we'll anchor there, and then the wind's supposed to pick up around like 1 or 2 this afternoon. And hopefully if we leave now, being at 7, we'll be there by then. I feel really bad that Maddie didn't get the Seabird Island. It looked really cool. I mean, all I did was watch Morty pee on the beach, so I can't really say I saw much of it either. Anyway, off we go. So we're gonna pull up to a place we're either gonna anchor in the mouth of the river, or if there's space, we're gonna tie up to the dock of this restaurant. And the way the winds are supposed to be blowing, it'll be blowing us off the pier. So that means that it would be a really, really good place to tie up for the storm. And then the next day, the way the winds are, they'll actually be blowing us off the pier, and we can just release the lines and float our way to Southport, which is our next big destination stop place, on our way up to Carolina Beach, which is actually our next big destination stop place.
Well, we are currently in Ocean Isle. We've officially crossed into North Carolina. Very exciting, but we're about to pass a spot that was extremely significant for us on our way down the ICW 4.5 years ago, and not in a good way. In this very spot, on January 31st, 2018, there was a super blue blood moon, which created an 8-foot tide. And thus, we careened fully. Right here in Ocean Isle, we completely were high and dry, and it was one of our first successful videos. And it remains to this day one of the most dramatic things that has ever happened to us. We have very mixed emotions coming back here. It was hilarious, but it was also really stressful and extremely hard on the boat. The only damage that happened was that we ended up damaging our rudder quadrant. So thank goodness we're a full keel. Running aground for us is not that big of a deal, let alone careening. But it could have been a lot worse, and for us who were just starting out, it was kind of a big deal.
I feel like I'm very acquainted with the bottom here, because when the boat was dry, I was walking around, I was sounding with the dinghy to see where we would go to try and catch out. The other really remarkable thing is how built up this area is. We took a picture of our boat, and in the background you see one house, the one that looked like a little pagoda thing, or gazebo. Now there's like all these brown boxes built around it, and the trees that were all there are all gone. The place has really changed. But we're staying in deep water, and we made it through without bumping the bottom.
Jerry's hair is blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
Today is a race against nature. There's this big blow coming in. It's gonna be 40 knots of wind, and we're just trying to get to our destination, which was a 10-mile run, and we're trying to get there before that wind comes, because I mean, our batteries are great, our motor is great, but we still can't fight a 40-knot headwind, and we really don't want to try. So there's this place where if you tie up to the pier and eat dinner, they let you stay the night. And so that's first come, first serve. We're gonna see if we can be the first come, but otherwise we'll just be anchoring across the way. So we did make it. It is no longer free. They've added a pier, so they now charge $1 a foot to tie up. We're gonna be eating at the restaurant for lunch, and we've decided to stay. I was thinking.
Good morning, everyone. Well, that horrible blow has passed, and now it's time to get out of here. So it's really calm. The winds are supposed to go building and be in our favor. So we're kind of counting on them because we don't have enough battery range to actually make the whole run. But if the wind picks up and blows in the right direction, we can sail, and that's excellent. So it's low tide. There's a sandbar that's come out of the water over that way, and we're gonna get out of here. But Maddie's still sleeping because it is 6:15 in the morning. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna walk Wisdom all the way to the end of the pier and then let her free. Hopefully with me on it.
Sometimes we act like a fool, not aware we're troublemakers. Sometimes we try to be cool, not being givers, only takers. Stop for a minute, stop and breathe for a minute. Don't get over your head, try to listen instead, won't you?
Okay, we are off, and that is how you single-hand the 45-foot sailboat. Everything happens really slowly and lots of planning. And you have to plan a couple steps ahead because you're gonna have to do a couple steps ahead. Like there I had to be turning to not hit a sandbar. So yeah, came out, turned the helm, ran up real fast, got stand up, ran back to the helm, straightened this out, like everything. Oh, it's quite stressful. So you never do something where you need to be in two places at once, or you set it up so that one of those jobs is slow enough that you don't need to be there while it's happening, and then you can run back to stop that job when it's time to stop. So that's how we did, and how I used to do all those years. So the reason I'm doing this alone is because it's stupid early, and Maddie's still asleep, so I'm letting her sleep in because poor girl, she needs her sleep. So yeah, she was on call in case I needed her, but as long as it was within what I felt I could reasonably manage alone, I was alone. And now we're underway and she gets to keep sleeping, so.
Think for a minute, who you wanna be for a minute. Don't get over your head, you're like everyone else, aren't you?
This is awesome. The wind is so perfect. Right now we have just our staysail flying, and I'm able to cut the engine, and we're still doing 3.1 knots. And the speed we need to maintain to make it to Carolina Beach in time is 3 knots. So we're going faster than we need to, barely. And we're not using any power. So this means that later on, if we come across a head current or something like that, we got some juice. We didn't blow it all back here. So I'm just so excited, because Snow's Cut is tricky and treacherous. So I wanna have really good charge before we try and get through that one. And I thought I did so well. I got the dinghy, I didn't forget that. I untied us, I didn't run us aground. I got our sail up, I got us in the channel. I got all this stuff done, but I forgot to take Morty to shore. Poor guy. So up ahead, in about an hour and some, we're gonna come across a free dock. So we're gonna pull up to that, tie up, take Morty to shore, and then keep going. That'll be the plan. I'm so close to getting everything right.
If you're new to us, I I'd like to take this opportunity to plug our shirts. This is one of them, Never Grow Up. All of our shirts are original designs from me, and some of them are even from Herby. And if you haven't gotten a chance to, check out our shirts with the link down below this video. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Those really pretty clouds right there, all wispy and running off into the distance. What they mean is that there's a huge high pressure right in that direction coming from where they all are radiating, which is kind of right behind that tree area in that house. And when you see something like that, that's your warning. It's in 1 to 2 days, you're gonna get a whole lot of wind. So right now, according to our barometer, we're in a low. And when I look in that direction, I see like a red tint on the clouds. So that's telling me that that's a high. And yeah, those clouds are like classic of a high that's coming in. So when they come in, they're gonna have a lot of wind. So we wanna make sure that we are nice and tucked away before that hits. That way we don't, you know, have some bad times at anchor. So if you're in the ICW, when you see clouds like that forming, just, you know, get yourself somewhere nice. If you're out in the ocean, you see clouds like that forming, get your storm sails out. You don't have to put them up, just have them ready, and you'll see it. It'll just go gradually. Charles, come on, seriously? You'll see those clouds, they'll get thicker and thicker and more intense coming at you, and you know it's coming soon. And before they get really heavy on you, get your storm sails up. That way when it hits, you're already set. That's the trick. Now, the nice thing about cloud forecasting is if the weather decides it's going a different direction and goes away, the clouds go away, and then your problem goes away. So it's kind of a win-win. Like you can't get caught off guard, and worst case scenario, your problem leaves you. It's awesome.
Tuna is Morty's favorite thing. He came out, I saw his little face come up as soon as I opened the tuna can. So we're in the river that leads up to Wilmington, but we have the generator running, and that's just because Snow's Cut is coming up, and that's another infamous spot in the Intercoastal Waterway. Snow's Cut is known for being treacherous, extremely high currents, and with winds like today, it's gonna be a challenge. So we're charging up with the generator just in case we need to throw in some extra revs.
This is with a rift between a low and a high. Clouds of a high, clouds of a low.
I just dropped Stan or staysail. We've been sailing so beautifully today. The winds have been perfectly in our favor, but we're about to enter Snow's Cut and we don't want to have a sail up for that. Once we get in there, it's all bad currents, cliffs, and squirrely winds. All things that you really don't want when you're sailing. It does not look like we're gonna make it. I don't know. You! Yeah.
We're anchored. We made it. We went 30.8 miles. We left super early in the morning. We caught the tide going. When we crossed the point where, you know, the midpoint where then you start meeting the other flood tide as it comes in from the other side of the inlet, that area was weak enough and there was enough wind that we were able to keep sailing, and we did most of it by sail without any motor at all. And then we got into the river that goes up to Wilmington, and we were just cooking. We were doing 6 knots under just our staysail. I turned on the generator, and between the generator and the solar panels, we were charging at 40 amps. It was just so much power going in. So then we had tons of power available for when we got into Snow's Cut. And then Snow's Cut, like, miraculously, the current was in our favor. On Navionics, it said that, nope, slack water isn't for another hour until, like, an hour after we would have gotten there. And so we were gonna be facing like a knot against us. And I was like, all right, it's short, we'll muscle through it, we'll see what we can do. And then we go in and we're doing 6.8 knots being sucked along, and the current's like raging in our direction, like in our favor. It was so thankful. So then we came around there and then just gunned it to come into this anchorage, and we made it. We are here, we anchored somehow between the, like, an hour of generator and all the solar panels and everything. We arrived with the same amount of amps that we left with. The beauty of electric. You can't go for a long day cruise on your diesel and end up with your gas tank filled to the exact same point. That just doesn't happen. Charles, your thoughts on today? Anything? Anything you'd like to add? Anything at all? No? Okay. Madge, what about you? Any...
Well, coming into the anchorage was a little crazy because it was a little confusing where the actual anchorage was, but also the birds decided that that would be the point that they wanted to scream their heads off and run all around the boat. Plus the wind picked up in a huge way, and so it was a very stressful anchoring situation. But once the anchor was down, a calm settled. And now everybody's being adorable. And Herbie is going to take a very well-deserved nap. We're excited for our next stop, which is Wrightsville Beach. This is a particular challenge for us because we're coming in at low tide.
And we're gonna tackle some projects. We got 2 things we need to do.
Thanks for watching this episode of Sailing Wisdom. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next Rigging Doctor episode. And if you're interested in even more Rigging Doctor awesomeness, consider becoming a patron to see all of our extras. Can't wait to see you next time as you join us out here on the high seas.